found it in the New York Post, as reported online. It's about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith has decided to defend Malika Andrews after the Brandon Miller backlash. So let's find out exactly what this is all about. So according to the New York Post, Stephen A. Smith has Malika Andrews' back. Okay. The ESPN star recently defended the NBA Today host, who faced backlash when she brought up former Alabama forward Brandon Miller during the 2023 NBA draft and him being described as a corroborating witness in the shooting death of 23-year-old Jamia Jonay Harris on January 15 in Tuscaloosa. You know, Malika is always in somebody's business. Time we turn around. And why is he defending her? Andrews, who became the first woman ever to host the NBA draft in June, asked NBA front office insider Bobby Marks how that off-court situation played a factor in how teams evaluated Miller before he was selected by the Hornets with the number 2 overall pick in the draft. She was getting crucified leading into the 2023 NBA draft because she's asking Brandon Miller a question or bringing up somebody's past, Smith said during an appearance on Podcast P with Paul George on Monday. Well, you know, sometimes people don't like to talk about their past. And they're not obligated to talk to anybody if they don't choose to, including, especially, Malika Andrews. Seriously, come on. She had an obligation to ask those questions. She did her job. If she doesn't do her job, she gets off the air. Smith was discussing the relationship between athletes and journalists when he hashed up the situation with Andrews, as well as the heated moment he shared with her while discussing Amika Oduka's suspension on First Take in September 2022. So let's take a look at these two. I'll be chummy there. Pals. Andrews has not yet addressed the NBA draft matter or Smith's recent comments. You know, reporting can be a two-edged sword. Be very, very careful. Miller, who represented Charlotte in the NBA 2K 2023 NBA Summer League, was associated with the capital murder case of his former teammate, ex-Alabama forward Darius Miles, and another man, Michael Lynn Davis, who were charged in the fatal shooting of Harris in January. A police investigator in February claimed that Miles texted Miller asking him to bring Miles' gun in the early morning hours of the shooting. So let's look at the young man here. Come on, come on, come on. Trying to get a nice photo of him. So when I put it up, it'll stay up. If not, I gotta do the best that I can. All right. Trying to bring visual to the channel here. Miller had not been accused of wrongdoing or charged with a crime. Smith and Andrews appeared to be just fine with each other after their heated on-air exchange. Additionally, Smith's latest defense of rising ESP host signals that it's water under the bridge. As for Miller, Charlotte is expecting big things out of the 6'9" rookie forward, who led the Crimson Tide to the #1 seed in the 2023 NCAA tournament. So let's take a look at this young brother again. Come on, phone. Young handsome brother right there. Wish him much success. He's going to do well. No doubt about it. The Hornets opened the 2023-24 regular season on Wednesday, October 25, when they host the Hawks at Spectrum Center. Miller and the Hornets will face the #1 overall pick, Victor. This is a hard name to pronounce, but I'm going to try. Miller and the Hornets will face the #1 overall pick, Victor. You know, I'm going to spell his last name. I don't want to mess it up. Wembanyama. and the San Antonio Spurs on January 12th. So the problem with Malika Andrews is this. She seems to always be involved in some type of scandal. She's always involved in other people's affairs, in other people's business. Eventually, athletes are going to get tired of her always interfering. You can be a journalist, a reporter, whatever you want to be. You know, I operate in this cycle, but I know my boundaries. The one thing I don't care about, I don't like to get into people's personal affairs. I just like to stick to the facts. So I'm going to see if I can find another story here. Here's one about James Harden on his ever-going battle with the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden came in fat, got me fired after playoff benching Kevin McHale. So let's talk about James Harden here. Let me see if I can, so you can see the little photo there. Bam. Kevin McHale hasn't forgotten getting undermined by James Harden. Harden this week has been expressing his dismay with a third organization in the past several years, calling Sixers president Daryl Morey to not play for the team again. That's a pretty big one there. This comes after he also forced his way out of Houston and Brooklyn. Make up your mind, bruh. Where do you want to play at? McHale, the 65-year-old ex-Celtics great, coached Harden in Houston from 2012 to 2015 and recalled the mercurial star tanking his tenure. With the Clippers up 3-2 in the second round of the 2015 Western Conference playoffs, McHale benched Harden in the fourth quarter of game number 6. The Rockets will go on to win both that and Game 7 before getting beaten by the Warriors in 5 games in the conference finals. So you can kind of see here with Harden pulling back up. All right. Somewhat enraged. Get my story feed back up here. This is 2 photos here. Harden. They don't have enough time to. They better sort this out quickly because the season is going to start in less than a month and a half here. The next year he came to camp, he was fat and didn't feel like playing, and I got fired. 11 games into the season, McHale told Holcomb he had a plan. Therefore, McHale was not surprised at the latest developments of Harden trying to blow it up in Philadelphia. Yeah, not so much, McHale said. McHale also had interesting theory on the relationship between Harden and Morey, whom he also worked with in Houston, broke down. I've been involved in a million meetings as a coach and GM. And you know, players hear what they want to hear, and a lot of times. And Daryl's smart, McHale said. My whole take on the thing is I think Daryl's really hooked up with James, but I think ownership looked at it. Let's face it, if the owner looks at you and says, we're signing that dude, you're signing that dude, story's over. And if the owner looks at you and says, we're not signing that dude, you're not signing that dude. Wow. Now, I reported on my other channel, Tyrone Bowman, tonight about the Blind Star, the movie being a lie and the story being a lie. And so I reported about it extensively on Tyrone Bowman tonight. That's my other YouTube channel, but this is the sports channel. So let me kind of get into this story. According to the New York Post, once again, facts will come out and sad Michael O'Hare blindside fight. Auburn's high freeze. Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze called the public dispute between Michael O'Hare and the Tahoe family sad, but seemed confident that the facts will come out on Monday. O'Hare filed a lawsuit after claiming the Tahoes lied to him by having him sign papers to enter into a conservatorship instead of adopting him. Freeze, who coached O'Hare at Briarcrest Christian School in Memphis and then worked as an assistant coach at Ole Miss when O'Hare played his college football there, spoke about the situation Thursday. I love Michael O'Hare, Freeze told reporters Thursday. He's like part of our family. I love the Tahoes. I think it's sad, And I certainly don't claim to understand the ins and outs of adoption, conservatory, all of that. But I know what I witnessed. And I witnessed a family that totally took in a young man. And I think without that, there is no story. O'Hare's story was turned into the movie The Blind Side, a book written by Michael Lewis and then adapted into a blockbuster movie starring Sandra Bullock, Tim McGraw, and Quentin Aaron, who portrayed O'Hare. Sandra Bullock went on to win an Oscar for her role in The Blind Side. So Michael O'Hare is now retired from the NFL. Attorneys for Sean and Leanne Torrey have denied the claims made by O'Hare and retorted that he has been aware of the conservatorship. Now, this is the part I don't understand. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to tell you what I reported on my other channel. During a news conference on Wednesday, O'Hare lawyer Randall Fishman told reporters that O'Hare referenced his conservators 3 times in his 2011 memoir, I Beat the Odds, From Homeless to the Blind Side. Fishman also announced Wednesday that the Tuhoys would seek to end the conservatorship. I guess so. The family's attorneys also claimed that O'Hare has received $100,000 from the profits of the Blind Side. Now, in the original report that I reported, O'Hare said he received nothing and that each of her children received $250,000 plus per diems on the royalties. They're receiving royalties. They received $200,000 each, according to the article. Now, there's something fishy that's going on here, and they need to get this all sorted out. Freeze said he believes that despite the recent events, the Toho family would still welcome O'Hare with open arms. The facts will come out, but I love both sides of it. All right, that's it for me for now. 12 minutes, 19 seconds into these stories here. I'm Todd Tanner for Black Wrestling News. I'll be back eventually. Never surrender, never quit.